You're listening to RTL SA.
And don't we just have the greatest guests on the show? I tell you what, I'm loving life at the moment because we have another great one joining us now, all the way from Cape Town, Danielle Bitton. Welcome to RTL SA. Oh, goodness, hang on, my fault. I didn't unmute you, my side. Danielle, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh man, it's so good to have you. I've been following your career for a long time and I've been meaning to get you on the show, but it's been absolutely crazy. But I think it's great to have you on the show now because we're in a position where we've got better audio, better visuals, and whatever, better than the old days. And it's so nice. You look great. How's it going on your side?
I'm doing well, feeling good today. Feeling good. I got my second last round of chemo tomorrow. And yeah, 2 weeks time chemo will be done. So I'm pretty good.
Awesome. Now, you've been really inspirational, but before I get into your story a little bit and catching up and finding out a little bit more about yourself, Biton, okay, and I got it wrong initially, and I've heard quite a few people get it wrong. So where is Biton from? What is it? Um, yeah, tell us a little
Biton
bit.
is it's so my father's Israeli and my
Okay.
grandparents come from Casablanca, Morocco. So you could say I'm a Sephardic Jew. And Biton is a very, very popular Moroccan surname in Israel. It's pretty much like Smith anywhere else. So yeah.
Okay, I figured that there was a Israeli connection with your X Factor Israel performance. Tell us a little bit about that. That must have been incredible.
It was pretty amazing. I moved to Israel when I was 28 for 2 years. And that first year, I ended up getting to the X Factor. I got to the judge's house, top 20, which was wonderful. It was an incredible experience. I mean, but my Hebrew wasn't that great at the time. So you can imagine when the judges were speaking to me very fast, I was like, what is happening? But I soon got better at it and just loved meeting all my Israeli pop idols, like growing up. I mean, these singers were just everything to me. And it was so cool to just get that opportunity to work with them.
What is the industry like in Israel? Is it a thriving music industry? Because we don't see too many international sensations coming out of Israel.
Well, I think Hebrew plays a factor in it. The music now has become a lot more commercial and mainstream. When I went there, I envisioned myself doing a lot of world music. And funny enough, being there, being able to speak English and not having an accent, I was automatically made to sing all the English songs. So that dream kind of dissipated. But I did work with an incredible band. They're amazing musicians. We traveled. We were one of the top bands in Israel for weddings and functions. So we traveled all over to Greece, to Russia, to Kiev. It was quite an experience. And the thing is with Israel, it's such you never know when a war's going to break out there. And that's what happened
Mm.
when I was there. So tensions were high. I mean, the bombs, sirens were going off, and I was running to my stairwell just to like wait for it. The building shook. I mean, this could be any time. It's 6 a.m. in the
Mm.
morning, or whatever, not even time to get to the bunker downstairs. And you just wait 10 minutes and then you go back to life. But the problem with that was a lot of the summer gigs and entertainment were cancelled because of this for security reasons. And Israel is a tough place to make a living. It is a hustle. I
Mm.
mean, the cost of living is so high. You can compare it to New York or London, and you're making a third of a salary there. So it's just hand to mouth every month. So South Africa is much better for business, I'd say.
People wouldn't be saying that at the moment with our junk status going on and everything.
Well, yeah, true. At the moment, I mean, us artists, we just out of work. I don't know when we're going to be able to resume,
What
carry
is
on.
what is work? I haven't done a gig since the 13th of March. I can't even remember what it's like to be on stage anymore.
No, no.
Last week in my show, I covered the whole Israel West Bank, and this is not what I'm going to talk to you about. I'm just going to ask your opinion on it briefly. But obviously, Israel are now making moves to annex a part of the West Bank and whatever. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, to be with PC, I'd rather not comment.
Plead the fifth.
If that's okay.
Daniel, where did it all begin? I believe it began very young. What were your dreams and aspirations when growing up? Were you going to be a rock star, or were you going to be a theatre sensation, or what was your plan?
Well, I always had a dream to be a pop star. I mean, I grew up, with music of the 90s, Jennifer Lopez and Ricky Martin. I wanted to be a Latin pop sensation.
Mm-hmm.
And then I really loved musical theater, and I went to New York to try and get onto Broadway. It was very, very intimidating. I would go to audition calls, cattle calls. 300 girls lining up at 8 a.m., some even there till 7 a.m. just to sign in. And sometimes you wouldn't get seen till 4 p.m. that afternoon. We weren't even allowed to sing sometimes. We were called into a room, and based on our resume and our look, we were typed out, which means they saw what they wanted. They'd take, say, 3 girls from a group of, say, 50, and the rest had to leave. So it was a bit soul destroying at the best of times, especially not having that experience on my resume. It was like a catch-22, how do I break in? So after a while, I decided I just had to put that on hold because it was killing me. And I started working with a band, a rock band, who had an amazing bass guitarist. Her name was Double Z. And she told me about this incredible entertainment company in New York that I should audition for. And within about a month, I was working full-time as a singer with them. They had about 20 bands underneath their company. And then I was subsequently joining other companies like this. So I was very busy as a singer and being on stage all the time, which was just the greatest gift to make a living as an artist in New York.
Oh, that's amazing. And then obviously, was it after that you decided to do the cruise ships?
Yes. So I came home to South Africa. I went to Israel. My family moved there, so I went there to look for a bit of soul. I had a bit of a meltdown in New York towards the end because I realized that what is life? You can have all the gigs in the world, but if you don't have a support system and people there to help you when times get tough, what is your quality of life, And a lot of my friends had left to go on tour. I got bed bugs in my apartment, which is the worst. I'm staying at a friend's apartment and she got bed bugs and left me there with them when she went on tour. It's like having leprosy. No one wants to know you in New York. It was everything at once. I had a cruise ship show that I was supposed to be in, and that got canceled. So it was a lot of stuff. And I was like, you know what? I'm going home. I'm going to think about where I want to go. So I moved to Israel. And then the war happened, came back home to South Africa. And, as an artist, you never know where you're going to end up. It's like, where do we go from here? Now we're back to square one. And now building had to start over again, developing the career. And that cruise ship that I was supposed to be in was a Gloria Estefan tribute show. I was going to take over the lead role. And that fell through. But the woman who was organizing it, who was the agent and actually the star of the show, she asked me out of the blue, would I like to be a guest entertainer, which sounded just up my alley. So for 2 weeks, I prepped a show, got a group of songs together, got an amazing composer and arranger to create this 8-piece score of the music for all the musicians. And I went on the cruise. We went to Italy and we were sailing all across Europe on Norwegian cruise lines. And you get there and you have one rehearsal with the band. That's it, You got to just know your stuff, nail it out. And then 2 nights later, I was performing for a packed house of like 2,000 people. So it was absolutely amazing. And I learned a lot. I'm on stage by myself. I had to command that stage and get a lot of audience interaction and keep the crowd engaged, which was brilliant for me to do.
Oh, no, that's incredible. Now, what's the South African connection? Were you born in South Africa?
I was born and raised in Cape Town, Sea Point.
and that's your home, eh? Did
that's
you miss
my
them?
Home.
Did you
home
miss
is where
them?
the heart is,
True story. Did you miss the mountain when you were away?
Oh, I miss the nature so much. It's so weird because growing up with 2 different cultures, there was a strong Israeli energy in my family. My father was very into music. A lot of shouting in a house, high temperament. It was very, very, very loud home. And going to Israel, I thought I would feel so Israeli there, but it's weird because you kind of feel displaced. Being there, I felt so South African, and being here, I always felt a bit more Israeli. So to find the balance there, but I definitely say I'm South African through and through, but definitely got that Mediterranean spirit in me.
Nice. Let's talk a little bit about Evita, because I did not know this initially, but when I was reading up a bit about you and catching some previous interviews that you have done, is that you actually played in Evita twice. Once as a little girl, and then now recently. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, when I was 10, I auditioned for Evita. I didn't even have an audition song. I think I sang a Hebrew song. And I had no idea I was going to get in. I mean, the voice wasn't really developed at all, but it was just so exciting that I made it. And being in the theatre, I just felt at home. I knew from that point that this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And it was just amazing working with these actors, being backstage, the whole process, the thrilling experience of being on that stage. And I was obsessed. I was obsessed with the music. I would be dancing What's New Buenos Aires in my living room with my dad when the movie came out. You know, it was all the hype at that time. And Evita was just a dream of mine. Like, I used to look up at the leads and think, wow, if only I could play that part one day. And then the audition happened here, and I got a random call from my agent to go. I was so nervous. I have to tell you something, that auditions for me are the most frightening thing. I can sing in a packed house. I can sing in front of thousands of people. Put me in a room with 3 people watching me, intensely judging me. It's the most frightening thing.
I totally.
And
it's almost as bad as doing a live stream.
yeah, you never know when it's going to cut out.
No, exactly.
But I've gotten a bit better with it, you know, building the confidence, doing some more auditions. But that audition, I was so nervous. And I got cast as, from not having any experience, I mean, only when I was 10 years old, I got cast as the third cover. Wasn't ideal. I was hoping to be the lead, but I took it. And the lead came from London, and she was wonderful. I learned a lot from her, and the whole process. There was a bit of an interesting cast the first round. There was a lot of cattiness, so it was a deep musical theatre experience. And I had to keep strong and be brave. And yeah, I didn't have one rehearsal. I mean, I was playing the most epic role ever written. I mean, I don't know if you know this, but Evita sings the whole way through, just belting. There's one song that she's off stage, so it's very intense. And I rented our first port of call was Joburg. I rented a little, I think it was 26 square meter cottage, and I would literally run the whole show in that cottage. And the week before I went on, I had one tech run. Didn't even have a whole cast there, just placing, lighting, where to go. And I was thrown on stage to play the biggest role. I was shitting myself.
I'm sure you were.
I mean, my lip was quivering the whole first act. I was like, oh my God. But I did it. It went amazing. And oh man, I was like, it's worth it. It's worth it. All the drama that went down, it is so worth it just to play this part. And I was in my element.
And then you went traveling with the show as well. You went all over the world. Where all did you go with the show?
Yeah, so the first time we went to Hong Kong, Singapore, Taipei, and Tokyo, which was amazing. And then the second one now, I raised up the ladder to the lead alternate. Another wonderful lead came from London. And it was just a very different experience with a very different cast. It was very chill, amazing energy. And we went to 10 cities in China, all over. I mean, I last went to China. I was working in fashion in New York, and I went there to work in a factory to get some designs done. And China, I mean, Shenzhen in those days is nothing what it's like now. It's so developed. It's so modern. We stayed in a place that felt like Las Vegas with an Eiffel Tower across the road from us, a whole theme park. Like, you would never imagine this from China. But so developed. Look, culture is very different. Food was an issue. I had to buy a wok. A portable wok, and I would cook stir fries in my hotel room. But I survived the food story, and it was just a wonderful tour. We were actually in Wuhan in September. Can you believe it?
Yeah, I was going to get there now. But just speaking about the food in China, that is one reason why I have no desire to go to China. It's because of the food. I'd probably live on McDonald's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, scary stuff. Okay, so yes, you were in Wuhan in September. And did you have any idea what was going on at that time with regards to COVID-19?
Not at all. Not at all. In fact, we were in China up until the new year when everything kind of broke out. We left on December 21st from Guangzhou. So we had no idea at the time. And thank goodness none of us caught anything.
So it was like a really tight kept secret in China.
We just got out of there in the nick of time.
Because
that's when it started spreading after that, New Year, when everyone was traveling, and it's crazy.
Right, now since you've been back, you've really been talking about your story, which is very inspirational. And a lot of people would just like hide away and like sort of try bury their head in the sand to a certain degree. Why did you decide to come out and tell your story?
Well, I thought initially, this is not something to have shame around, to be ashamed of. I initially started writing to process everything that was happening to me. And I'm so glad I did, because, you look back 6 months and you're like, holy, what just happened to me? Like, wow, like this year has been insane. Like, it's a dream. If you told me last year I was going to go through this, I mean, and the craziness that happened with the concerts and everything, I would never have believed you. It would be like, a joke kind of thing. And just going through it, I thought young women need to know about this. I'm 35. I'm so young. Never did I imagine I would get breast cancer. I mean, I didn't even feel my breasts. I went to my gynecologist once a year. She felt them. I was like, okay, I'm good to go. Have my next checkup next year, but never realized the importance and the significance of doing that, of watching over ourselves and our health, in such a vital way. And because I'm so young, I got tested for the BRCA gene, which is very prevalent in Ashkenazi Jews. And my mother being from that descent, I was sent for a test. And I was blown away to find out that I had the BRCA2 gene, which is a mutated gene. So in most people, their gene works brilliantly. It prevents them from getting breast cancer. In my case, because it's a mutation, I'm at 80% higher risk of getting breast cancer in my life. So it's a scary thing. And because of that, I had to do what Angelina Jolie did. I mean, my worst case scenario came to life. I had to have a double mastectomy. And I love my breasts. If I tell you, I didn't even wear a bra. They were so good. So it was like, oh, man.
Yeah.
But then I was like, oh, well, what is the good of a beautiful ripe apple with a worm in? It's got to be tossed out, And I just thought of it like that. I thought, okay, I'm just going to get an upgrade, and it's all I can do. I'd rather have my health. It's such a small price to pay for your life. And it put things into perspective for me. I mean, losing my hair, I think that was even scarier for me. I think for most women, that is the scariest part. But I try to look at it as a rebirth. I thought, okay, all these issues that I've had, I didn't even know I had them, but I went to an energy healer, and she was like, whatever is happening inside needs to be healed, because when you are whole, the healing will begin. Now, I thought I loved myself, but I never really realized the true meaning of loving yourself wholly. Without this, without these, here I am. What you see is what you get. And really going so much deeper to get to that place. And it's honestly a liberating thing. As soon as I shaved my hair, I was like, I've done it. I've moved through the fear of the biggest thing I was so afraid of. And now I can do anything,
Wow, that is absolutely incredible and so inspirational. Because there's been this saying that I've always tried to live by. I try to live fearless. But one thing that always stood out for me, and I heard it many years ago, and I try to stick with it, is action cures fear.
Totally. I read a book once called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And the thing that I took from that book is that fear is never going to go away. You're always going to have that fear. But the only way to overcome it is to move through it, to take that leap and jump to the other side, to do the thing that you're most frightened of. And it's true. Once you are able to process that in your mind and to take that leap, you know, you can just soar to new heights. It's just the most incredible thing. I mean, I think maybe Evita prepared me for this. The most frightening thing I ever did. I did it with gusto. And, you know, this is something else. You've got to find the silver linings that you got to, I mean, for many times I would struggle with it. There weren't times where I wasn't depressed or fearful or anxious. I was there, and I spoke to myself. I was like, you know, this is temporary. This too shall pass. This is not, for me, I never thought it was terminal. I believe that this is something that I had to go through, but my gut told me this is not terminal. You're going to fight this, you're going to win this, and you're going to come out stronger. And it's with that mindset, that positive mindset, that, you know, you can really overcome anything. Because if you sit as a victim, wallowing in sorrow, you know, you're conditioning yourself to be that way. I did some work with this incredible doctor and inspiration he's called Joe Dispenza, that's his name. And he actually had a very bad bicycle accident. His vertebrae were shattered. He didn't know if he was going to walk again. And being a doctor, they suggested a surgery to him. And he actually turned it down. And he said, you know what? I believe my body has innate capacity to heal itself. There's a Netflix documentary called Heal, which you can watch. And I was doing his work during the time, meditations, just focusing on healing. And his work got me through it. And I would really highly recommend it to anyone, to get you into that headspace, to channel divine energy, to pray, to find your connection with God, because faith is ultimately what gets you through things like this.
100%. Now, you're one of these people, clearly, when life gives you lemons, you make the sweetest of lemonades. What are your plans going forward? Because obviously the future is uncertain from a music perspective, and obviously you are going through the process with the health issues and stuff like that. But what have you got in mind going forward?
Wow, there's so much to look forward to. There's a lot of new things that I've found within myself that I want to share. I'd love to give talks to inspire women, to give them hope, to work with breast cancer patients that are finding themselves in my position. You know, I'd say this one thing: don't be your own WebMD doctor. Don't go research all the side effects of chemo. Just hear from your doctor, because that stuff can freak you out.
Of course.
I mean, the list is endless. And to be honest with you, I hardly had any of those symptoms. So everyone is different. And if you read all of that and you think you're going to get that, the chances are you might. So I would say stay off the internet as much as you can. But yeah, inspiring women to find the strength that they have within for overcoming fear, you know, just reaching their greatest potential, and working a lot with breast cancer patients in hospital. I'm a brand ambassador for Reach for Recovery, and they do absolutely incredible work as a support system for women who are going through it. You know, they'll be diagnosed, and most breast cancer doctors will put them in touch with Reach for Recovery, and they visit them in hospital and they check in and see how they're doing. And it's just really an incredible organization. So I'm giving back through that, and I'm super excited about it. I also would love to do amazing concerts, live concerts, where I can meet all the wonderful people that have tuned in virtually. I can meet them after the show and just have a wonderful rapport with my audience. That would be fantastic. I also DJ and sing at the same time. So I want to entertain people and bring them joy and connect them through music on a dance floor, which is a wonderful thing too. So just living my passions, you know. There's a musical that I was a part of called Calling Us Home. It's an original musical. An incredible score written by Alice Gillum. The whole musical is actually written by her. She's pretty much a genius. And there's talks of that going on tour in 2021. We'll see what happens with traveling. But it's a very exciting project, and I hope that it takes off, and I'm very proud to be a part of it. So yeah, it's lots to look forward to.
Danielle, you are an absolute inspiration. You really are, and it's not just because of what you're doing and what you're going through, but that smile on your face is real. And I think that
Thank
people
you.
realize that, it's not just fake. You are as real as they come. Where can people go to follow you? Because I've been reading your blog and really enjoying it. Do you maybe just want to direct people to that blog?
Yes, the blog is called thejourneywithin.co.za. So you can follow my whole journey through there. It's been an epic ride. So happy reading. And then also you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/diva DLB. That's for my name, Danielle Bitton.
Nice.
And on Facebook, facebook.com/Danielle Bitton Music. And on Instagram, Danielle Bitton with the number 1.
Number 1. Danielle, thank you so much for joining us today. It was an absolute pleasure. And I really look forward to seeing your name in lights going forward with regards to whatever you decide to do, whether it be musicals, maybe some more original music, but definitely live performances.
Thank you so much. Yes, there is an original song in the pipeline coming to radio soon, so watch the space.
There we go, and you heard it first, and we'll certainly play it for you as well. We're looking forward to that. Right, Danielle, thank you so much.
Having me.
Only a pleasure, and have yourself a wonderful Monday and wonderful week, and keep in touch with us. Let us know what's happening.
I will definitely. Bye to everyone. Stay safe.
There we go. That's Danielle Bitton for you right here on RTLSA.
RTLSA.